Last thing we got to get to before we do Super Chats. Over the weekend, the amount of accusers alleging some sort of inappropriate behavior, for lack of a better word, Justin Tucker came out, bringing the number all the way up to 16 now, according to the Baltimore Banner. There's 9 more women who accused him of inappropriate sexual behavior. We don't have to dive back into the exact details. We had that discussion earlier, but I wanted to ask you guys this question, and if we have a unanimous answer, we won't necessarily do this again, but regardless of the numbers, will the Tucker situation, the coverage around the Tucker situation, all that surrounds what's going on in Baltimore now, ever reach anywhere close to Watson's level, even like 50%, 60%, and should it? Or will this just be handled and looked at in a completely different light, considering the position and the circumstances around the contract and all that with the player it is?
I thought you were going to save this for another day because it's 12:55.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't want to look like a hypocrite.
This isn't a 5-minute conversation.
This is not a 5-minute conversation.
We go a little longer, but I didn't want us to feel like a hypocrite because anytime the Deshaun stuff came out, we made a big deal out of it.
Well, and he plays here
granted,
too.
So but I didn't want it to come across as us sweeping.
It's never going to be as big a deal in Cleveland because Deshaun Watson was a Cleveland football player. Will it be bigger in Baltimore than Deshaun was? Hell yeah, it will. And he plays kicker, not quarterback. So I think a location is relative. Nationally, if you try to put that into some sort of national scope, Deshaun became a major national story for a number of months. I'm assuming that this one will too. I think the benefit that Justin Tucker has right now is timing. His story came to light at a time when we were putting NFL to bed. And so that I think matters too. Come the summer, when everybody's ramping up for NFL again, one of the big questions is, what are the Ravens going to do at kicker? So I think it will become a story. Will it become as big? If he gets up to 25 like Deshaun did, it better become as big.
And we could go a little past 1 o'clock, G, by the way. We're just going to scrap overtime.
The reason why it's a no, it's not, is you got to take a look at it. So Deshaun Watson, they took his cases to grand juries twice. So it was like, it could have been a thing where, hey, you got to go to trial for this, which is something crazy. That's the highest level you could get. You're gonna go do some jail time. To this point, I don't think there's been any charges brought against Justin Tucker. I don't even think there's been a civil suit brought by anybody as of yet.
I think one is in the works.
Maybe one might be in the works.
I don't know.
And so
I haven't seen any civil cases.
But you're right. In terms of, I think someone's working on one, but in terms of filed, no, that's where we're at.
So two, Deshaun Watson is a quarterback. Deshaun Watson, the position is way more high profile than a kicker is.
And he just got the biggest guaranteed contract in the history of the NFL.
And they gave him the biggest contract ever. So he had every group of individuals, and Deshaun Watson didn't play well. So, like, you had the people in Cleveland that didn't like the fact that the picks was given up. You had people who liked Baker better and they wanted Baker to be the quarterback. You got people that, were for the whole assault thing and people didn't like what the accusations were. You got people saying, okay, he got sued that many times. He had to go to court that many times. So it's a bunch of different things that snowballed into what Deshaun Watson was, that it hasn't got to that place with the kicker. And plus, Deshaun Watson was the first. Anytime you're the first of anything, you're going to get the brunt of it. Now, people have heard about allegations about massage therapists and all that other stuff. And Justin Tucker, he came after Deshaun Watson. So people, the shock and awe is not there at this point. Now, will it get more and more? Yes, because the Ravens are going to have to come out and have a statement about it pretty soon after it gets to a certain number. But will it be where Deshaun Watson is? No.
There's one distinction. Tucker is arguably the greatest to ever play his position.
Yeah.
Where Deshaun Watson was never going to be in that conversation.
Yes.
But all your other points, G, are dead on. I like everything you said.
The timing is actually very similar to Deshaun because Deshaun's first accuser came out in March of 21. Mm-hmm. It was the offseason. But it actually took, if you go back and really look at it, it took a long time for the national vitriol to come because for the first year or so, it was, what are we dealing with here? And
Because
people were
he
trying
sat
to figure it
out.
out.
Yep.
Because he sat out, he was out of sight, out of mind. He sat out that entire 21 season. You can go back and look where the Dolphins were trying to trade for him. And there's reports on pregame shows the Dolphins are in conversations with the Texans about trading for Deshaun Watson, and there was no huge vitriol or backlash against Miami. All of that came out, really, if you really look at it, it came out when the New York Times story came out about 67 women as the accusers build into the 20s, and as when the two no bills came back, the two grand jury no bills came back, and then the Browns traded for him, and then they gave him the contract, and then the New York Times story comes out, and then the HBO special comes out. But this was like a year and a half after the initial allegation.
My memory tells me, though, that the New York Times piece and everything else, wasn't that before training camp? It felt like that was...
It was during. The Times story came out in August of 22.
Right. And so, again, football was back front of mind for all of us. We have put football away for 8 months.
But that was also...
Besides the draft.
But that story was also 17 months after the initial allegations were made against him. So this is still in the very, very early stages with Tucker.
Right.
And also, no disrespect to the Baltimore Banner. The Baltimore Banner is not HBO, ESPN, or the New York Times.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
So once ESPN or the New York Times...
But The Athletic wrote a piece over the weekend that the number's at 16. Wasn't that their reporting?
No, it was the Baltimore Banner's initial report.
It's basically
The
just-
Athletic-
I know they were the original report, but now, since then, other news outlets have jumped on this, done their own investigative
I
journalism.
don't know how much we've really done.
Okay,
with
that
it.
was-
I didn't see it. I don't
Okay,
know, because
okay.
I think a lot of what we've done is just regurgitating what's already out there.
Okay.
So if the Athletic digs in on it and comes up with its own, or if the New York Times, which is the Athletic, ESPN, HBO, it's going to carry a lot farther than the Baltimore Banner.
You know what's fascinating to me, and we didn't talk about this at all, and it almost was like a forest falling in a tree, and if no one's there to hear it, it doesn't make a sound. Jay-Z decided that, okay, I'm not going to be Deshaun Watson. I'm coming out swinging against the horrible allegations that he witnessed a rape.
G talked about this.
Okay, I wasn't here on Friday, but to me, that's Tony Busby. That is Tony Busby.
That says,
who I think said, this worked against Deshaun Watson. What other big fish can we try to fry? And Jay-Z said, not happening. And the case was thrown out. Mm-hmm. And that's that. That's over.
Because here, and I mentioned this a couple months, it's been about a month or so ago, is a lot of what Busby did is he just used public sentiment. Public sentiment is a very strong thing when it comes to allegations and certain things like that. And he was good at doing what he was doing because Deshaun Watson was being between a rock and a hard place. Some people wanted him to apologize. Some people wanted him to admit guilt. Some people said he shouldn't say anything. Some people say he should talk and open up and specifically tell what happened. And so when you get all these conflicting things, it then wears your defense down to a point where you're like, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. But Jay-Z, he has a different type of legal team. And here's the thing with the NFL. See, Busby failed on one thing. He forgot the reason that Jay-Z is part of the NFL's brass. Jay-Z is part of the machine at the NFL.
He is.
He picks the people that goes and does the NFL halftime show. He's involved with Roger Goodell. And when Roger Goodell came out and said that we understand what the allegations are and we're standing with Jay-Z, that was a silent get off my lawn to Busby. We gave you Deshaun Watson, but this guy over here, he's under the umbrella. You might want to just chill out.
And his legal tactic was completely different from Deshaun Watson.
And he tried somebody out on television. They debunked her, whatever she said. And, there have been people trying to get Jay-Z involved in a lot of things. But you got to realize Jay-Z is very connected at all levels of entertainment, government, places, people, things. People thought he was going to get indicted along with P. Diddy or be shuffled into that. No, that never
tried.
He tried that. He tried that. They dropped it immediately.
Spinning the Tucker thing forward, so Deshaun sat an entire season, but there was a trade request in there as well. So it wasn't just the allegations.
Right.
Why did he sit because of the allegations? did he sit because of the trade request, or was? And it's hard to separate which one. Is Tucker going to sit this year? Are they going to sit him down because of this? The NFL hearing for Deshaun came 15 months after the initial allegation. 15 months.
So they've got a decision to make on Justin Tucker.
How fast are you going? Are you going to try and expedite this? And are you going to try and hold the hearing this summer? Because he has to go in front. Like you have to go.
Here's the thing.
You have to put him through
1 year left in him anyhow.
You have to put him through the same process that Deshaun went through.
Now,
I agree with that.
We being nice about it right now, but we'll give you the due diligence. Oh, but you better go in front of that judge. You got to do the same thing. And by the way, the Baltimore Ravens was real cocky.
They were.
When it was Deshaun Watson, they was throwing little jabs. And here's the thing. What I think will end up eventually happening is Justin Tucker was on the decline anyway. I think the Ravens, after they do their investigation and figure out what they figure out, I think they'll cut him, and he'll still have to go. But I think he's done.
Well, he won't have to go in front of an NFL disciplinary hearing if he retires.
They just cut him,
he
right?
just walks away.
Yeah.
I mean, timing is everything. Are you gonna force this summer? Do you want to get this done? Because again, Deshaun had the grand jury stuff he was going through, and the NFL wanted to let that process play out before.
I've never understood why that would take so long. If you have a group of accusers, and in this case now it's up to 16, okay, one by one you interview them.
They have to cooperate with you.
Yeah, well,
and there's no reason for them not to.
there isn't. Why wouldn't you?
If you've already
made your
come forward to this
allegations,
point,
so
keep going.
get your pound of flesh. And I can't understand why it would take the NFL investigators any more than 8 months. The season starts in 8 months. Find these accusers, bring them in front of you, interview them, and then ultimately you're judging their credibility versus what Justin Tucker has to say. He's going to get his day in front of the investigators as well.
Yep.
And then the investigators have to come to some sort of conclusion. We believe that they are credible or he is credible. And if they believe they are credible, then they have to come down with an 11-game suspension because that's the bar.
Yep.
And they have to do it before September 1st.
Right.
And I don't know why that would take 15 months.
But again, the NFL, out of all the cases against Deshaun, they brought 4. They picked 4.
Well, because they said those were the 4 that we believe were credible. In other words, they felt all those other ones didn't raise to a level where they had concern that they were credible.
I think they felt the best about those 4 cases.
Right, so you would bring those.
Yeah.
Were any of these taking place, these, I guess, massages, was they taking place after Deshaun Watson was suspended?
I think it was all before.
It was before he blew up as an NFL player. It was earlier in his career.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say, if these allegations came out after Deshaun Watson got suspended, I'm like, they might give him a year because they're going to say.
Well, the allegations came out after, but the incidences, were way earlier in his career.
I think they're going to change
because
it.
I can't imagine for the life of me now that there's very much crazy stuff going on with massages and NFL players. Because if Deshaun Watson wasn't the cautionary tale for everybody, now I bet every NFL player's like, no, I'm keeping everything on. I'm good.
No, I think the NFL is going to say you're prohibited from having massages outside the team facility. Like
they should, but the problem with that is, what do you do in May, June, and July when everybody's out of the building?
Well, I think that, there may be team issue guys or team issue people that you can
like
go
here's
to.
a list of the sanctioned
list of the certified people that you can go to.
I think what you're running into then is personal liberties. That's almost like telling a player that you've got to see the team doctor only on our clock. Well, wait a minute, I want a second opinion on my knee, and I've got a guy that I've had my whole life.
And again,
a lot of these guys have their own personal masseuse.
Go back to the Kirk Cousins quarterback. She came to his house. There was a woman that came to his house and treated him in his home.
Hey man, listen, leagues do invasive things all the time. They got policies. Hey, when they come to drug test you, they don't care where you at. They'll meet you at a bar, wherever you. There has to be. And you don't want to make it be this, but there has to be when you have these levels of things happening, just like when they went in the stands. What was it, Detroit and the Pacers?
Yeah.
They had a dress code. They had whether you could be close to the players, whatever the case may be. I think in this case, what they're going to say is, look, we understand that you guys are, need to get massages, but we're going to find the biggest league in the world. They got the most money. We're going to find 6 or so different places or people that you can go to.
Yeah.
And this is a list of approved people, and we're going to leave it at that.
Yeah, it's still.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got that into. I just wanted to make sure we got to that today because it is timely and deserves the recognition, good or bad. So I'm glad we got that today.
Let's sum
get
it
to
up
some
this way.
super
Do you guys
chats.
ever think he'll ever kick for the Ravens again? I don't.
No, I don't think he
I don't
will.
think so either.
I don't think he
Jay?
will.
I'm leaning toward no. But again, it took 15 months to get this before the NFL hearing.
But
Yeah.
if you're
He
Justin
made
Tucker,
73% of his
I know
kicks
he
last
did.
year.
I
He was
know.
not good.
do you
last
want
season.
to? And like the one position
And the mental
in sports,
stuff too.
Yeah, it's like
we saw. I would be out.
and he knew all this was coming.
I was just going to say
which
that.
is why he probably hit it 73%.
How much did this, because this didn't just pop out of nowhere.
No.
So this has
it-
probably been in the works for a while. How
You're
much
right.
did that play into
Yeah, he
though?
knew that this investigation was in the works. He'd been asked about it, and he hit it 73%. And so it's just like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson lived it publicly, went through it, wore the scarlet letter, and you know what? We don't know. There's only a few people that really know for sure. Maybe this man did nothing at all and had his career and life completely derailed because 24 women or 26 women got together and said, let's tell a story. I'm not saying that's what happened, but there is a possibility where that is what happened. And look at what it did to his play and his mental state. He's crumbled in front of us.
Hey man, there ain't. I always said, bro. You know, back in the day, there was rules of engagement. Now, them rules of engagement is totally different. You can't be going out there hanging out with randoms. Like if you can't find nobody in a bar and just start talking to them.
No,
you
do
can't
it at
find
your own
nobody at a grocery store on a plane and start talking to them
nuts, man.
and chatting it up and let's hang. Nah, bro, I'm going home.
Yeah, do you want to